There's a growing list of brick-and-mortar retail stores that have reduced their footprint or filed for bankruptcy. Brands began rapidly disappearing from malls and resurfacing in museums. Let that sink in. Coined as the retail apocalypse, the prophetic demise of retail has accelerated in the past decade with the advent of the Great Recession, e-commerce, changing consumer behaviors, and the final nail in the coffin, pandemic. Even before the pandemic, we noted the retail apocalypse was particularly bad in 2019, with about 10,000 stores closed for good. Most of the closures were mall-based retailers as consumerism and spending shifted online. Lockdowns, in the last few months, accelerated the shift to buying items online, while strict social distancing rules enforced by the government led to non-essential shop closures. Hundreds of thousands of retail stores will close outright so that online consumerism is forced into automation and robotics in order to refine profit-making for the larger behemoth investors that are capitalizing on market share to control mass consumption into fewer hands of profit. Amazon and Bezos are aiming for 5G consumerism, which will force an end to fiat with the requirement to go online electronic payment systems that will be compatible with crypto, blockchain, banking, and commerce worldwide, so that it is aligned with China's 5G and their tech boom forward. Once they get everyone hooked on online buying and consumerism, they plan to make us ditch our cars, trucks, and vintage automobiles because we no longer need to drive anything powered by fossil fuel. Mass transit will all be electric from there on out, and if you don't want an electric truck or car, you can buy an electric bike. If you don't want an electric bike, you can buy an electric skateboard. And if you don't want an electric skateboard, you can damn well walk. And if you don't want to walk, you can sit on your butt because Amazon delivers fatty. This has been a long time coming anyway. The pandemic just sped the entire retail collapse up, is all. Millions of jobs lost during the pandemic are never coming back. That was the intention from the very beginning. The mainstream media cartel was pontificating from day one of the pandemic that things will never be the same again, and that total oppression is the new normal. The millions forced into unemployment and penury will go on welfare, UBI. So their ability to even eat will be under government, oligarchy, control. This is the Great Reset. Even though we are slowly reopening across the board in the majority of the country, many businesses are still closed or will never reopen. We are seeing it in retail and in health. We are seeing it in hospitality and travel. Empty storefronts are becoming a common part of the city's landscape. People don't want to drive miles and wait in line and potentially get sick for things they could have delivered to their homes the same day. 2021 will see a retail apocalypse, a tsunami of retail closures and bankruptcies. An unprecedented retail crisis never seen before in American history. More chain stores will be disappearing, and several mainstay retailers are rethinking the whole idea of having brick-and-mortar locations. A staggering number of stores have shut down. The most retail stores will be closing. And it is not just about these big chains. 3/4 of retailers are small businesses, and those are the ones that are really at risk. As the toll of unemployment in the US is growing each week, many economists and experts believe some of these lost jobs will not come back anytime soon. With consumer confidence low, when people do not have two nickels to rub together, when people are not making nearly enough to live, what do you think is going to happen with the retail sector? That is the particular concern in the retail sector. Over 2 million Americans have now lost their jobs in retail. Stores shed jobs, of course, as sales plunged. A record 16.4% down from March to April, a bloodbath for the economy, since retail accounts for about half of all consumer spending, which in turn drives some 70% of economic activity. In acute pain, clothing stores, where sales have tumbled nearly 80%. Already struggling department stores are down about 30%. Include that well over 50% of restaurants won't survive on 50% less occupancy, which means 50% less revenue. When many need 85 to 90% volume, and a high table turns over just to break even. The pandemic has speeded the shift to online, predicted to jump from 15% of all retail to fully a quarter, good for virtual stores, disastrous for ones you can walk into, many of which have now gone under. As a result, it's harder for retailers to both pay their debts and stay current to compete with behemoths like Amazon and Walmart. But, even if retailers open, are people ready to go shopping? Even among those who may want to go out and shop and miss that activity, a lot of them don't have the means to do so, or they're reluctant to spend because they're nervous about the economy. Confidence takes a moment to destroy. It can take many, many months to come back. My guess is that 30% of businesses will not return or won't last long. And about the same percentage of people will remain unemployed. This setback will cripple the economy for the next 10 years. The debt incurred will be the pandemic killer. And while operating at reduced capacity, businesses are passing the buck onto consumers. Extended hours, limitations on the number of customers allowed, improved sanitization methods, and a barrage of personal protective equipment, all come with a price tag. Some businesses are tacking on a pandemic surcharge as they navigate through the pandemic. Now consumer experts say these surcharges may push customers away. Macy's said that sales were down 45%. Because of online retailing, it is likely that at least half the brick-and-mortar retailers were on the extreme margin of solvency already. Online shopping already accounts for 11% of retail sales. The good old days are gone when mall managers wouldn't even meet with anyone not representing a AAA national chain tenant. Now they are offering free rent and incentives to CBD sellers and hot dog cart owners. Thrift stores will become anchor tenants. And just wait another 60 days when the enhanced unemployment money dries up. There will be 50 million unemployed with not a pot to piss in. The depression is only in the unfolding stages, and the economic collapse that is coming will make the virus look like a picnic. Let's make a list of those that are still able to make the rent. 1. Gun shops. 2. Liquor stores. 3. Grocers. 4. Coin shops, thanks to the gold and silver stackers. 5. Weed dispensaries. 6. Fast food restaurants. While dams fail, bridges collapse, communities deteriorate, and homelessness grows, while jobs and the U.S. economy are offshored, the environment is degraded, and healthcare needs go unaddressed. U.S. billionaires are up $460 billion in just 2 months. And will be up $1 trillion, at a minimum, by the end of this year. Tens of trillions to Wall Street, the banks and corporate welfare socialism. America is simply going to drown in its unaddressed debt problems just as New Orleans drowned in Hurricane Katrina. America's economy was never strong, it just printed more money. This is just the beginning. It will get much worse when the looting, riots, civil disobedience, the chaos starts. The pandemic has left the U.S. in economic devastation. Most small businesses and service industry jobs have been eliminated. Airlines are sitting. Restaurants closed. No sports or any gatherings. People are hurting and need money badly. 40 million jobs were lost. America is on the verge of losing everything. This economy is not going to just bounce right back. It is going to take years to recover from this. Bank it. Many will be homeless as banks take homes and apartments. People do not own anything. We will be a third world country very soon. The Fed and the banks will own everything. When you take a 30-year note on a house or property, you are really buying almost 3 houses in the end. You keep 1 for yourself and give 2 to the bank. Depending on your interest rate, that is. But it's never really your property. The county will stick a gun in your ear every month and tax you. Right around here, I see people paying $10,000 a year on their house just in tax. Imagine what taxes will be after this pandemic with no income coming in for local governments. State pensions are a disaster. Politicians want to give hundreds of millions away to the homeless and illegals. They only get their money from taxes, your taxes. Inflation and taxes are going to explode. That's why GE and Ford and GE, all those old money blue chips are gagging on pensioners that they promised to pay. Well, now they can't pay. They are pension guarantee distribution companies that just so happen to make cars. That's the result of 4 decades of capitalism on steroids. More is never enough. A dog eats society without humanity. This is gonna suck for a while, but we are finally seeing what is important and what is utterly useless. Overpaid, useless politicians. Social welfare at taxpayers' expense with no accountability. Institutions of higher learning that rip and exploit young people while offering a useless degree in debt. while tenured professors are basically fat parasites living off the servitude of young people who can't find paying jobs. And the list goes on. We could see societies on a global scale go back to simple living, learning skills, or knowledge that fixes problems and not teach victimhood as currency and a real responsibility to the community that results in positive action. 100 years ago, you knew your neighbors and helped them when they were in need. Most people don't know their neighbor's name right now. I really think this was one of the goals of this crisis. They want to eliminate most physical locations of commerce. Everything is to be done online, less travel, less mingling with other people, less competition, further economic globalization, elimination of thriving local economies, ultimately moving towards global technocratic communism. Things are a whole lot worse than you know. Historic highs, monstrous lows, everyone broke, little hope. Sounds like a job for the war option.